I'm a 31-year-old tech executive who sent my parents wedding invitations 3 times, but they still chose a last-minute cruise over my special day 6 months ago. Yesterday, I posted a photo with my new $155,000 Porsche on Instagram. This morning, my phone rang with my mother's number, the first call in 2 years. Natalia, we need to talk. Family meeting tomorrow at our house. Funny how a luxury car made them suddenly remember they had a middle child. Before I tell you how I handled my suddenly interested family, drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from, and hit that subscribe button if you've ever had to prove your worth to people who should have valued you from the start. Growing up in our spacious colonial home in Greenwich, Connecticut, I always felt like I was looking through a window at my own family. My father, Dr. Richard Peterson, was a renowned cardiovascular surgeon whose work at Yale New Haven Hospital kept him perpetually busy and perpetually distracted. My mother, Victoria, a former Miss Connecticut, who never let anyone forget her glory days, channeled her energy into maintaining our family's social standing in the community. Then there were my siblings. My older brother Andrew was the golden child from day one. 3 years my senior, he excelled at everything he touched: academics, sports, and most importantly, fulfilling my father's dream of continuing the Peterson medical legacy. My younger sister Sophia, 4 years my junior, was Daddy's little princess. With her natural artistic talent and my mother's beauty, she received endless attention and praise for her every sketch and dance recital. And then there was me. Natalia, stuck in the middle with an interest in something my parents couldn't understand or brag about at their country club gatherings: computers. While other girls got dolls and princess dresses for Christmas, I begged for circuit kits and programming books. "She's just playing with gadgets," my mother would tell her friends with a dismissive wave. "It's just a phase." When I brought home straight A report cards, they were taped to the refrigerator beneath Andrew's B+ papers. When I won the state mathematics competition in 10th grade, my parents missed the award ceremony for Andrew's baseball game. It wasn't even a championship game, just regular season. "We're sorry, sweetie, but you know how important baseball is for Andrew's college applications," my mother explained afterward, not even asking to see the trophy that now collected dust in my bedroom closet. By the time I was named valedictorian of my high school class, I had stopped expecting my parents to show up. Yet I still felt a pang when I looked out from the podium during my speech and saw 2 empty seats in the parents section. My brother's baseball team had made the state semifinals that weekend. I learned later they had watched the first half of his game, then gone out to celebrate with him afterward, completely missing my moment. When my MIT acceptance letter arrived, with a full merit scholarship, my father glanced at it over his morning coffee. "Massachusetts Institute of Technology," he read aloud. "Well, that's nice. But it's not Harvard Medical." "It's the best engineering school in the country," I said, trying to keep the hurt from my voice. "I'm sure it is, dear," my mother chimed in. "Though Boston is so dreary in winter. Are you sure you wouldn't prefer somewhere warmer? Sophia is thinking about UCLA for her arts program in a few years." That was the moment I decided to become completely financially independent. I declined their offer to pay for my apartment or whatever, and instead took on 3 campus jobs while maintaining a perfect 4.0 GPA. I worked in the computer lab, tutored programming to underclassmen, and did freelance website development on weekends. At my MIT graduation, my parents arrived 20 minutes late and left immediately after the ceremony, citing the need to get back for Sophia's high school art exhibition the next day. They didn't stay long enough to meet my professors, who wanted to congratulate them on raising such a brilliant daughter. They never knew that I graduated top of my class, or that I had already received multiple job offers from leading tech companies. As I watched them hurry to their car, I realized they weren't just missing my events, they were missing me entirely. Silicon Valley welcomed me with open arms and endless possibilities after graduation. I landed an entry-level developer position at Cloudsphere, a promising startup focusing on AI-driven cloud solutions. The salary wasn't impressive, but the equity package was substantial for someone fresh out of college. I found a tiny apartment in Palo Alto that I shared with 3 other tech workers to save money. We each had a bedroom barely big enough for a twin bed and desk, but the location was perfect, walking distance to the office. Those early days were a blur of cold coffee and determination. I routinely worked 80-hour weeks, arriving before my managers and leaving long after everyone else had gone home. While other new graduates were exploring San Francisco nightlife or taking weekend trips to Napa Valley, I was debugging code and volunteering for every challenging project that came along. 6 months in, I created an algorithm that optimized our cloud storage solution, reducing client costs by 30% while improving performance. When the CEO personally thanked me at the company all-hands meeting, I felt a surge of validation I'd never experienced at home. For once, my work wasn't just noticed, it was valued. I called my parents that night, eager to share my success. "That's nice, honey," my mother said after I explained my achievement. "Listen, I can't really talk right now. We're hosting the hospital fundraiser tonight, and the caterer just arrived with the wrong appetizers. Can I call you back?" She never did. The promotion to junior team lead came with a substantial salary increase. I celebrated with a group of colleagues who had become friends, people who actually showed interest in my work and my life. Among them was Lisa, a UX designer, who quickly became my closest friend and confidant. "Your parents sound like real pieces of work," she said one night after I'd had enough wine to share my family history. "You know that's not normal, right? Parents are supposed to be interested in their kids' lives." Her words hit me harder than I expected. Deep down, I'd always blamed myself for not being interesting enough to hold my parents' attention. Maybe if I'd gone into medicine like Andrew or the arts like Sophia, they would have cared. But Lisa helped me see that the problem wasn't me, it was them. When CloudSphere's fortunes soared and we expanded internationally, I was tapped to present our technology at a global tech conference in New York. There I met Michael Barnes, a marketing executive for a complementary tech company. Tall, with kind eyes and a genuine laugh, he listened intently as I explained the technical aspects of our platform. "Most marketing people's eyes glaze over when I get into the coding details," I told him. "I'm not most people," he replied with a smile. "And what you're building sounds revolutionary." We exchanged numbers, and to my surprise, he called the very next day to ask me to dinner. Our relationship progressed naturally and easily. For the first time, I experienced what it felt like to be someone's priority. Michael remembered details I mentioned in passing. He showed up when he said he would. He celebrated my achievements and supported me through setbacks. When CloudSphere went public 2 years later, my stock options suddenly made me a millionaire on paper. I bought my first condo in Mountain View, a beautiful 2-bedroom with a view of the foothills. I hosted a small housewarming party with my closest friends and Michael, who had become an essential part of my life. "Should we invite your family?" Michael asked as we planned the party. "They wouldn't come," I said simply. "And I don't want to pretend anymore." The strange thing was, as my professional confidence grew, the void my family had created began to feel less painful. I was building my own life on my own terms. I had people around me who chose to be there, who showed up without being reminded or begged. When I was promoted to team leader at 26, nobody at work questioned whether I deserved it or could handle it. They had seen my work ethic, my talent, my results. For once, I didn't feel the need to prove myself to anyone, except maybe still in some small corner of my heart to the family that had never really seen me. Michael proposed on a Tuesday evening, nothing fancy or public. We were cooking dinner together in my condo, something we did several times a week. He reached into the spice cabinet and pulled out a small velvet box instead of the oregano. "I was going to plan some elaborate proposal," he said, looking suddenly nervous. "But then I realized that what I love most about us is these ordinary moments that feel extraordinary because we're together." He opened the box to reveal a beautiful emerald-cut diamond. "Natalia Peterson, will you marry me?" Through happy tears, I said yes immediately. As he slipped the ring onto my finger, I felt a familiar twinge of anxiety about sharing the news with my family. Part of me wanted to keep this joy protected from their indifference, but Michael encouraged me to give them a chance. "People can change," he said optimistically, "and this is big news." I called my parents the next day, rehearsing what I would say beforehand. Mom, I have some exciting news. Michael proposed last night and we're engaged. There was a pause on the line. Michael, the marketing man. My mother had met him exactly once over a year ago. Yes, we've been together for 2 years now. Well, that's nice, dear. Have you set a date? Because you should know your sister is planning her first major art exhibition for next spring, and we wouldn't want any conflicts. My heart sank as she continued talking about Sophia's exhibition without asking a single question about my engagement or Michael. When I finally got off the phone, I decided then and there that we would have a small, intimate wedding rather than the large society event my mother would have expected. We'll invite only people who truly care about us, I told Michael that evening. Quality over quantity. He agreed, supporting whatever would make me happy. We set a date for October 15th, giving us 8 months to plan. I designed simple but elegant invitations, sending them out well in advance. My parents received the first one in February. My mother called a week later. October is so busy for us, darling. Your father has conferences, and I have my charity committee obligations. Let me check our calendar and get back to you. She never did get back to me. In June, 4 months before the wedding, I sent a second invitation with a note reminding them of the date. This time my father texted, "Might have conflict with medical conference. We'll check and confirm." Again, no confirmation came. By August, just 6 weeks before the wedding, I was losing hope, but sent one final invitation with a personal letter. Mom and Dad, your presence at our wedding would mean the world to me. I know we've grown apart over the years, but I'm hoping this could be a new beginning for us. Please let me know if you'll be able to attend. Love, Natalia. 1 week before the wedding, as we were finalizing seating arrangements, my mother finally called. Natalia, I'm so sorry, but we won't be able to make it to your wedding. A close friend offered us spots on their Mediterranean cruise, last-minute opportunity we simply couldn't pass up. You understand, don't you? We'll send a nice gift. I sat in stunned silence, though I don't know why I was surprised. Michael found me crying in our bedroom, later the final confirmation of what I'd always known, but tried to deny. I simply wasn't important to my parents. We'll still have the most beautiful day, Michael promised, holding me close. My parents are thrilled to be gaining you as a daughter, and our friends, our real family, will all be there. Michael's parents stepped up in ways that highlighted everything mine had never been. His mother helped with last-minute details, and his father offered to walk me down the aisle in my father's absence. I accepted gratefully, finally understanding what parental support was supposed to feel like. Our wedding day dawned crisp and clear, a perfect October Saturday in the Napa Valley. We had chosen a small winery with breathtaking views of the autumn vineyards. Only 50 guests were invited, each one someone who had truly been part of our lives and supported our relationship. I had left 3 empty seats in the front row, just in case my parents and sister had a last-minute change of heart. They remained empty throughout the ceremony. My brother Andrew sent a text that morning, "Sorry, can't make it. Good luck today." At least it was something. As Michael's father walked me down the aisle, I felt a momentary pang seeing Michael's large, loving family on one side and no one on mine. But looking at the faces of friends who had become my chosen family, I realized I wasn't alone at all. We wrote our own vows, and when Michael promised to always see you, hear you, and cherish you, I felt tears spring to my eyes at finally being truly seen by someone who mattered. During the reception, Michael's father gave a toast that left everyone emotional. "Today I don't feel like I'm losing a son," he said, his voice cracking slightly. "I feel like I'm gaining a daughter I've always wanted. Natalia, your intelligence, kindness, and strength have made Michael happier than we've ever seen him. We are so proud to welcome you into our family." I looked around at the tables filled with people who had chosen to be there, who had rearranged schedules and traveled distances to celebrate with us, and I felt rich in ways that had nothing to do with my bank account. There were no congratulatory calls from my parents that day, no last-minute arrival, no explanation for their absence beyond the lure of Mediterranean ports of call. After a magical honeymoon in Bali, where Michael and I agreed to leave family drama behind and focus on our future together, we returned to California and our busy careers. Rather than dwelling on what I couldn't change, I channeled my energy into work with renewed focus. 6 months after our wedding, an opportunity arose to lead CloudSphere's new artificial intelligence division. The role meant more responsibility, more pressure, and significantly more compensation if I could make it successful. I threw myself into the challenge, working even longer hours but loving every minute. When our new AI solution launched to rave industry reviews and immediate client adoption, the company rewarded me with a substantial bonus and promotion to Vice President of Artificial Intelligence Solutions. At 31, I was the youngest VP in company history. That evening, Michael opened a bottle of champagne to celebrate. "You should do something special for yourself," he suggested. "Something visible that reminds you daily of what you've achieved." "Like what, more property investments?" He shook his head. "Those are practical, and you're always practical. I'm talking about something just for joy. What's something you've always wanted but considered too indulgent?" The answer came immediately. Since childhood, I'd been fascinated by Porsche sports cars, their perfect engineering and elegant design. Whenever I saw one on the road, I'd point it out to whoever was with me, usually receiving indifferent responses. "A Porsche 911, I admitted. "The Turbo S model in Miami blue. I've actually configured one online about 20 times but never pulled the trigger." Michael grinned. "Let's go to the dealership tomorrow." The experience of purchasing my dream car was surreal. The salesperson treated me with respect despite my casual attire, unlike other luxury car dealerships where I'd been ignored in favor of male customers. When I said I wanted to pay in full rather than finance, he didn't bat an eye or question my ability to do so. Driving off the lot in my gleaming Miami blue Porsche 911 Turbo S, I felt a childlike joy I hadn't experienced in years. This wasn't about showing off wealth. It was about finally rewarding myself for years of hard work that had gone unacknowledged by the people who should have been my biggest cheerleaders. That evening, I posted a simple photo on Instagram. Me leaning against my new car, smiling with the caption, "Hard work pays off. Dream achieved." New chapter Napwime. Porsche 911. I didn't tag my family members. I didn't expect them to see it or care if they did. After years of their indifference, I'd stopped looking for their approval or attention. Which is why what happened the next morning took me completely by surprise. My phone started buzzing with notifications before I'd even finished my morning coffee. Instagram likes and comments were pouring in at an unusual rate for my typically quiet social media presence. Scrolling through, I was shocked to see my brother Andrew had not only liked the post but commented, "Congrats sis, killer ride. We should catch up soon." This was followed by a direct message from my sister Sophia. "OMG Nat, that car is insane. What's your secret? We need to talk." These were the first direct communications I'd had from either sibling in months. More surprising still was seeing that both my parents had suddenly started following my Instagram account after showing zero interest in my online presence for years. I showed the phone to Michael with raised eyebrows. Apparently, a $155,000 sports car gets more attention than a wedding. He frowned slightly. Funny how that works. Before I could respond, my phone rang displaying my mother's name, a sight so unusual I nearly dropped the device. "Natalia?" "It's Mom." Her voice had that artificially warm tone she used with potential donors at charity functions. "How are you, darling? It's been too long." "Has it?" "I hadn't noticed," I replied coolly. She laughed as if I'd made a charming joke. "Well, we saw your photo online. That's quite a car. Your father and I had no idea you were doing so well in that computer job of yours." "That computer job has made me a vice president at a multi-billion-dollar tech company, Mom. But you'd know that if you'd attended my wedding or called even once in the past 2 years." There was an uncomfortable pause before she continued as if I hadn't spoken. "Well, your father and I think it's time for a proper family meeting. Everyone's been so busy with their own lives, and it's important we reconnect. Can you come to the house tomorrow? Say around noon." The transparent timing wasn't lost on me. 6 months of silence after missing my wedding, but one day after seeing evidence of my financial success, suddenly a family meeting was essential. What's this about, Mom, really? Just family reconnection, darling. We miss you. And everyone will be there. Your father, Andrew, Sophia. We have some family matters to discuss. After hanging up, I turned to Michael, who had heard enough of the conversation to understand. You're not seriously considering going, are you? He asked. Their motives couldn't be more obvious. Actually, I am going, I replied, a plan forming in my mind. I think it's finally time for some honesty in the Peterson family. Will you come with me? Michael shook his head. This is something you need to do alone. But I'll be waiting when you get back, whatever happens. The next morning, I made the drive from our home in San Francisco to my parents' house in Greenwich, Connecticut, having taken a red-eye flight the night before. The familiar tree-lined streets of my childhood neighborhood seemed smaller, somehow less intimidating than I remembered. I pulled the Porsche into my parents' circular driveway, the engine's purr drawing curtains aside in neighboring homes. My father appeared at the front door immediately, his eyes fixed on the car rather than me. Natalia. What a machine, he exclaimed, walking past me to circle the Porsche. 0 to 60 in what, under 3 seconds? 2.6, I replied flatly. My mother appeared next, air-kissing both my cheeks. Darling, you look healthy. Come in, everyone's waiting. Andrew and Sophia were indeed waiting in the living room, both rising with unusual enthusiasm to greet me. My brother actually hugged me, something he hadn't done since we were children. The prodigal daughter returns, he said with a forced chuckle. And in style, Sophia immediately grabbed my hand. I love your watch. Is that a Cartier? I gently pulled my hand away. It's a wedding gift from Michael's parents. You would have seen it at the wedding. An awkward silence followed, broken by my mother announcing lunch was ready. She had prepared all my childhood favorites: fried chicken, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole, foods that hadn't appeared on her table since I was in high school. The transparent attempt to butter me up was almost comical. As we settled around the formal dining table, I noticed something odd about the family photos displayed on the sideboard. There were dozens of them. Andrew's medical school graduation, Sophia's art exhibitions, various family vacations, but not a single photo from my wedding. Not that I was surprised, given they hadn't attended, but the complete erasure was telling. So, Natalia, my father began. Once we were all seated, tell us more about this vice president position. Sounds impressive. For the first time in my life, my parents and siblings appeared genuinely interested in my career. They asked questions about Cloudsphere, about artificial intelligence, about the tech industry. But something felt off about their sudden curiosity. What exactly does someone in your position earn these days? Andrew asked, trying to sound casual. Just ballpark. Andrew, my mother scolded without conviction, don't be crass. Then turning to me. Though we are curious about how you've done so well for yourself, dear. Your father and I always worried about your chosen field. I took a sip of water, buying time to study their faces. You never seemed worried. Disinterested would be the word I'd choose. My father cleared his throat. Well, perhaps we didn't understand the potential. But clearly you've done well. That car out there? That's a statement. What about your husband? Michael, is it? My mother asked, proving she couldn't even remember the name of the man I'd married. What does he do again? He's Chief Marketing Officer at Tech Vantage Solutions, I replied. We're both doing very well, thank you for finally asking. The conversation continued in this vein through the main course, with increasingly transparent attempts to gauge my financial situation. Finally, as my mother served dessert, my father got to the point. Natalia, we've asked you here today because I'm embarking on an exciting new venture, he announced. I'm opening my own specialized cardiac care facility, state-of-the-art equipment, world-class surgeons. It's going to revolutionize treatment in the Northeast. Congratulations, I said, waiting for the other shoe to drop. The thing is, he continued, startup costs for such a venture are substantial. We're offering investment opportunities to family first before opening to outside investors. And there it was. I see, I said quietly. And what prompted you to think of me as a potential investor? My mother jumped in with a laugh that sounded rehearsed. Well, darling, we always knew you would make us proud someday. And now that you're doing so well, I could use some family support too, Andrew interjected. My practice is struggling with insurance reimbursement rates. I've been thinking of converting to a concierge model, but the transition costs are significant. Sophia wasn't far behind. And I found the perfect space for my gallery in Soho. The location is amazing, but New York real estate, you know. They continued talking, outlining amounts and returns on investment partnership opportunities and family legacy planning. Not once did anyone ask about my wedding or my marriage or my life beyond its potential to solve their financial needs. As I looked around this table at these people who shared my DNA, but had never shared my joys or sorrows, I experienced a moment of complete clarity. This wasn't a family reunion. It was a business pitch. Did any of you even look at my wedding photos online? I asked, suddenly interrupting my father's explanation of investor tears. The question created an uncomfortable silence. Well, we've been so busy, my mother finally said. And it was a small affair anyway, wasn't it? It was the most important day of my life, I replied, keeping my voice steady. I sent you 3 invitations. I called. I emailed. I practically begged you to be there. My father shifted uncomfortably. The cruise was already paid for, Natalia. These things happen. Things happen, I repeated. Like you missing my valedictorian speech for Andrew's baseball game. Like you forgetting my college graduation date. Like you never once visiting me in California in 10 years. Now that's not fair, my mother protested. We've always supported you. When? I challenged. Name one time you put me first. One time you showed up for me when it mattered. My siblings stared at their plates while my parents exchanged glances. We're here now, my father said finally. We're trying to include you in an important family venture. You're not including me in anything, I corrected him. You saw evidence that I have money and you want some of it. That's not family. That's not love. I stood up from the table, surprisingly calm. Thank you for lunch, but I won't be investing in any of your ventures. In fact, I think I'll be going now. Natalia, don't be dramatic. My mother started, but I cut her off. I'm not being dramatic. I'm finally being honest. And the honest truth is that you've never been interested in my life until you thought it could benefit you. That's not something I'm willing to pretend isn't happening anymore. I walked out of the dining room through the foyer and out the front door without looking back. For the first time in my life, I felt completely free of the need for their approval. The drive to my hotel was therapeutic, the powerful engine of the Porsche responding to my every command in a way my family never had. I called Michael from the hotel room, relieved to hear his voice. How bad was it? He asked. Exactly as predictable as you'd imagine, I replied, recounting the transparent attempts to access my finances. I don't think I've ever seen them so interested in me before. What are you feeling right now? I considered the question carefully. Clarity. It's like I've been trying to see through foggy glass my whole life, and someone finally wiped it clean. I'm not angry anymore, just clear. Do you want to come home tonight? I can book you on the next flight. Actually, no. I think I need one more day here for real closure. The next morning, I called my favorite high school teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, who had always believed in me when my family didn't. We met for breakfast at a local cafe, and her genuine joy at my success was a stark contrast to my family's calculated interest. I always knew you'd do extraordinary things, Natalia, she said, squeezing my hand. And I'm so sorry about your family situation. Some people just can't see the treasures right in front of them. Her words gave me the strength for what I needed to do next. After breakfast, I drove back to my parents' house unannounced this time. My mother opened the door, surprised to see me again. Natalia, we thought you'd gone back to California. I'm leaving today, but there's something I needed to say first, I replied, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. My father emerged from his study looking wary. If this is about yesterday, perhaps we all got off on the wrong foot. This isn't about yesterday, I said calmly. It's about the last 31 years. I took a deep breath and continued. I want you to know that I forgive you both. Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace. I forgive you for missing my important moments, for making me feel invisible, for only seeing me when you needed something from me. Their stunned expressions told me they hadn't expected forgiveness. That said, forgiveness doesn't mean I'm willing to continue the same unhealthy patterns. Moving forward, I'll be limiting our contact to occasions where I feel genuinely wanted for who I am, not what I can provide. But we're family, my mother protested weakly. Biology made us relatives, I corrected her. Love and respect make people family. I found that elsewhere with Michael and his parents, with friends who show up consistently. I reached into my bag and pulled out a framed photo of Michael and me on our wedding day, looking radiantly happy. This is what you missed, I said, placing it on the entryway table. Not just a ceremony, but a celebration of the woman I've become without your help. I'm leaving this here as a reminder of what actually matters in life. I turned to leave, pausing at the door. I don't hate you. I don't even need you to change anymore. I just need you to know that I'm done trying to earn love that should have been freely given. The drive back to the airport felt like flying. Something had shifted permanently inside me, a weight lifted that I hadn't fully acknowledged was there. I was heading back to California, to Michael, to the life and family I had chosen for myself. 6 months later, a Christmas card arrived from my parents. Inside was a brief note expressing regret for misunderstandings and a hope that we could start fresh in the new year. It wasn't a real apology, but it was more acknowledgement than I'd ever received before. I decided to maintain limited contact, holiday calls, occasional emails, without expectation or emotional investment. When Michael and I discovered we were expecting our first child a year after the family confrontation, I shared the news with my supportive friend circle first, reveling in their genuine excitement. I did eventually tell my parents about the pregnancy, and their response was better than in the past, but still characteristically self-centered. Wonderful news. We've always wanted to be grandparents. My mother gushed, as if my pregnancy was a gift to them rather than a joyous event in my life. But their reaction no longer had the power to hurt me. I had learned that family isn't always who you're born to. It's who shows up for you consistently and lovingly. Michael's parents immediately began planning their trip to California for after the baby's birth. My colleagues organized a thoughtful baby shower. My chosen family surrounded me with support. As I prepare for motherhood, I'm determined to break the cycle. My child will know they are seen, heard, and valued unconditionally. They will never question their place or worth in our family. Success will be celebrated, failure will be supported, and presence will be prioritized over presence. The truth I've learned is that we can't choose the family we're born into, but we can choose how we define family for ourselves. Sometimes the people who should love us unconditionally don't know how, and that's not our burden to carry. Our worth isn't determined by others' ability to recognize it. Have you ever had to create boundaries with family members who only seemed interested when you had something to offer them? Or have you found your chosen family who supports you when blood relatives couldn't or wouldn't share your experience? In the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need permission to prioritize their own well-being over painful family expectations. Thank you for listening, and remember, the family that matters most is the one that shows up for you when there's nothing to gain but your happiness.